Hi, everyone. We're here with Jean-Michel Fonteneau, wonderful cellist, dear friend, wonderful BDDS artist, and he's been so generous to contribute to our Bach project that's going on. He's been with us many, many, many summers, and honestly, it wouldn't be the same festival without him. So we have him here with us. We're going to ask him a few questions, and then you'll get to hear him play some fantastic Bach sarabands. So Jean-Michel, it's great to see you. How are you doing? How's your family? How have you been coping with things going on?
It's great to see you guys too. I'm healthy. Me and my wife Dana have been staying at home since mid-March pretty much and coping with it, just reorganizing our lives in very, very different ways than what we could have imagined before. Like, for instance, the social part, we love going to restaurants and everything. That's done. So we're cooking more at home, uh, unless we order from local restaurants, which is great too. Um, I have two daughters also. One of them is in the States. She lives in New Haven with her husband, um, who is doing really well. And my other daughter, Camille, is in France, in Paris. So she got to experience also the sheltering in place for pretty much as much time as we had. And did I say she was a violinist?
No,
And
that's great for us to know.
yeah, and so she's been doing all kinds of practicing. Her boyfriend is a violinist as well, and I got to geek out with him about technology and recording techniques and everything like that. So it was great. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, you look really great. You look like you've been feeling well and taking care of yourself
Yes.
and drinking your bulletproof coffee.
Every morning.
Anybody who wants to know more about bulletproof coffee, ask him. But I'm missing that right now because you used to make it for me every day at Bach Dancing and Dynamite. And this would have been our week. So we're missing you right now for sure.
I'll make one for
But it's good
tomorrow
to see
morning, I promise.
you. Okay. Okay, that's great. So, I just recently learned about a family project you've been doing with music and with your wife, Dana Fontenot, Dana Putnam Fontenot. And she has a program called The Wholehearted Musician, which I love. And so many musicians have taken part in this. Can you just tell us a little bit about The Wholehearted Musician and Sundays with the Fontenots?
Yes. Well, Dana, when her and I met, was a cellist, and so about 16 years ago, actually, she decided to become a therapist to help the musicians. And long story short, she created her business, which is called the Wholehearted Musician, in 2011. And she's been helping, individual musicians and music schools, chamber groups, and now also she's working with corporations as well. So the spirit of chamber music is really helpful for a lot of different venues, not just music. And when the sheltering in place starting to happen in March, we were talking about what to do to contribute to other people who were experiencing the same things. And so we just had this idea to create the Sundays with the Fonteneaux. So it's every Sunday morning, Pacific time, at 10 a.m. on Facebook. It's a Facebook Live, and she gives whoever is listening advice on how to be more resilient in these times of great challenges. I mean, it's happening now for sure, and it's been happening for the past 2.5 months. And she talks about this, and then I play some music. So usually the serendipity in this is that I usually choose pieces early in the week, and we don't really talk about what we're going to do, and then sort of they kind of match, they work well together. And so that's what we've been doing now. This past Sunday was our 12th uh, episode, shall we say, of the Sundays with the Fontenot, and we want to keep doing that. It feels really important to be there in community and to reach out to people.
Well, I
So
have really loved the ones that I've seen so far, and I intend to keep watching them. It's very inspiring on a Sunday morning. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
so if some of our listeners want to join in, how do they do that?
So it's on Facebook. You have to go to the Wholehearted Musicians page. So Wholehearted Musician in one word on Facebook. And you could probably, if you go to Dana Fonteneau on Facebook as well, it's probably posted there as well. Yeah, it's
Cool.
like,
We'll put the information in the notes also. Tell us, like, what music have you been turning to in this time? What has been speaking to you, and what has been speaking through your fingers? What have you been playing? What have you been listening to?
well, there was a lot of Bach, of course. We started actually with the Sundays with the Fontenot with 2 or 3 pieces. So I did a lot of that. I looked into the solo cello repertoire. So I discovered 3 short pieces that Piatigorsky, the cellist Piatigorsky, wrote, which are really, really fun and beautiful. And I ended up doing also all kinds of romantic short pieces, things like Valse Sentimentale, Tchaikovsky, and things like that. Yeah, and so that's what I've been doing, practicing, and of course, while I was teaching my students at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, I was practicing, all these concertos at the same time, just like now I have time, so I can do that. And otherwise, something happened early April. At the end of April. One of my mentors for the quartet, Martin Lovett, who was the cellist of the Amadeus Quartet, passed away. And we heard the news. It was actually a few days before the end of classes and everything. So I just started to listen to the Amadeus Quartet again, so like great recordings of the Schubert G major string quartet, for instance, was something that was with me all my teenage years. So things like that. Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau was another great musician that I kept listening to, because same thing, he was a very familiar companion for me when I was growing up, listening to all Schubert and Schumann, even Poulenc, Le Bal Masqué, which you guys played. When was that? 2 years ago. Last 2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah.
So yeah. Also we were listening to. Do you know this masterclass? It's a website that where you have master classes from different personalities, not only musicians,
Yeah. Yes.
like architects, authors, chess players, actors, and we listen to quite a few of those. Very inspiring. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
So and now tell us a little bit about the music that you chose to play for us.
Oh. Um, well, I had planned on recording different pieces than this from other suites, and with the current context, it felt I was trying to record them, and it never worked. And somehow I couldn't find the inspiration to do that. So I stopped, and I just wondered what was happening. And so it felt really more appropriate to find movements in the Bach suites, cello suites, that were more reflective in character. And so I chose 2 sarabands. The first one from the 3rd suite in C major, the other one from the 5th suite. And they're very different, of course, because of the key. The C major one is very warm, very resonant. You hear all these different voices and everything. It's very soothing, comforting. And the 5th suite, this one is unique in its own way. C minor, it's much darker, more severe, but it doesn't have any chord. That's the only movement in all the movements in all 6 Bach suites that does not have one chord. It's all, I mean, it's all implied. Harmony is implied as well, but it's more linear, and so it's extremely beautiful, very reflective for sure, but at the same time you could experience in the middle of that a little bit of pain, and at the same time you have a lot of space to consider what's happening to you. So that's why I chose them. Yeah, I was Stephanie. I was telling Jeffrey at the beginning of the call that I did the recording on Monday. Was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday morning. And I had so many problems with the neighbors. They were blowing leaves and everything like, well, welcome to shelter in place. So I had to record them many times. So there is definitely that atmosphere with that, you know, that I was really forced to being really reflective and very focused as I was playing. Yes.
Well, you know, the one that I did with Jeff, he complained about this later, but I didn't really notice it, that his dog went out the dog door when we were playing. And if you listen to it carefully, you can hear Pippa going, you can hear it flapping, you know, the dog door in the middle of his sonata. So it's going to be something when you're recording at home for sure.
Yeah, it is not like being in a studio. That is
not at all.
Yes.
Well, I'm really looking forward to, well, I shouldn't say I'm looking forward to it, because I've already listened to your Bach, and I know that our audience is going to love it just as much as I loved it. You know, Bach is so amazing as a composer. I mean, he's a person who lived through almost any kind of thing a person could possibly live through, including times like we're having right now, like wars, famine, disease outbreaks, epidemics. You know, he had children, many of whom died. So he was a person who lived a lot. He had a lot of life, and you hear that in his music, and you definitely hear that in these sarabands. So I'm sure everybody is gonna love listening to them.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing it, Jean-Michel.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for everything. It's been great to talk to you. So we are really thrilled that you would be part of this, and you stay well.
We'll see you for the project.
Yes, yeah, I have to start practicing this. Yes, and I'll see you guys also very soon.
Talk to you soon.
I'm seeing you in person.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.